our primary care doctors going the way of dinosaurs. A new study claims that in a little over a decade's time, the number of patients in the U.S. with primary care providers dropped to an all-time low. This concerns me, and I'll highlight why in a moment, but I think that there is a movement away because getting back to more and more people are saying, well, I would prefer a natural remedy, and their response may be, I don't really need a doctor. And that can be problematic because, and I'll harken back to my own life story, I went without a primary care doctor for over a decade. Even while hosting this show for many, many years, and I sort of pretended to the world that I was doing everything you're supposed to do, but the reason I didn't have a primary care doctor in many ways is because I felt I was my own best advocate, and quite frankly, a little bit of me was afraid to establish a relationship with someone who was gonna recommend all these tests. I ended up realizing that here I am, almost 48, so I went and found the primary care doctor that I knew well from when I was a resident physician, and you know the best part? Went in, he said these words to me. He said, Travis, let's live a long life together. He sent me on my way and he said, I'll see you in 3 years. Meaning, if you find the right primary care doctor, they're gonna work with you, because I'm not a guy who wants to go to the doctor every single year. And my doctor realizes that. I have good health, good numbers. See you in 3 years unless something happens.
But that's your story. But some people need to go every year.
They absolutely, but my point is finding the right doctor for the right level of care for you.
For you,
The reason, so when you look at this statistic, the people who needed primary care doctors, you weren't seeing a big decrease. It was the young population.
It's the millennials, the generation.
That's right.
I get it confused. Is it X, Y, or Z? One of those.
One of them.
These younger generations are not establishing relationships. Also with OB-GYNs. And the reason that they're not doing it is because there is a little bit of, they read the headlines. Well, I want to balance this out. I want the right level of care. And some people have a little trepidation that if I go establish a relationship, that means I have to, go in all the time and do all these things that I don't want to do. But that's not true. You find the right gynecologist, you find the right primary care doctor, they're going to work with you.
Well, a lot of times, I think for young women, they'll go to their OB-GYN and they'll assume that their OB-GYN is just their primary care physician. And in a lot of instances, your OB can be your primary care doctor, but you just have to communicate with them and let them know that you're not seeing someone else so that they can take your family history into account and they can say, okay, well, since you're not going to an internist or a family practice doctor, I'll go ahead and I'll make sure we're checking your cholesterol when we're supposed to check your cholesterol, that we're doing diabetes screening. You just have to make sure that somebody is doing those things. So just make sure you let your OB know.
OB-GYNs are happy to do that, that you feel your patients are a family and you want to be involved in their overall health. For women, that's very true. But then again, I know some that just say, well, you really need to go see your internist or primary care.
And that's another important point. Your OB may say, well, no, I think in your particular situation, you should go and see an internist, but it's just that you have to have that conversation.
Right.
But I will just close with this comment, and that is I have so much respect for primary care doctors out there. They really are the engine that keeps this system running. And you see them as often as you need to, you work with them, and I'll finish with the phrase that my PCP said to me. Hopefully you and your primary care doctor can grow old together